My wife and I were reborn back before our wedding day. This time, I was the one leaving her at the altar. I was about to marry Olivia Hayes, the woman I'd secretly loved for years, the woman I thought was my destiny. Yet here I was, ready to jump out a window if it meant escaping that wedding. Because I'd lived this life before. In my previous life, Olivia and I were married for over 20 years, the picture-perfect couple in everyone's eyes. But that beautiful picture shattered on our 25th anniversary. She killed herself. A double suicide, with Lucas Vance, her old college flame, the one that got away. Standing before her gravestone, I'd whispered, "Did you ever regret marrying me?" I knew I wouldn't hear an answer, but I voiced my own. Because I regret marrying you. When I woke up again, I was back, moments before the ceremony. I decided then and there, I was running. This time, we'd just be two people who knew each other too well to be anything but strangers. I never imagined she'd find me again, looking like death warmed over, only to tell me, "I never regretted marrying you. Not in this life, not in the last. You were always the only one I ever wanted to marry." I opened my eyes, someone patting my shoulder. In a daze, I saw the main doors of the ballroom swing open. Olivia Hayes, my Olivia, who'd been dead for 10 years in my memory, stood on the stage in her wedding dress. Bathed in the spotlights, she looked ethereal, like an angel gracing us with her presence. A wave of awed murmurs rippled through the guests, louder than the soft music playing. Everyone was captivated by her beauty. I, however, broke out in a cold sweat. Someone nudged me, reminding me it was my cue to walk toward the bride. I'd insisted on this exact progression myself during the planning. But now I just stared at Olivia on that stage. She curved her lips into a smile, but my resolve hardened. I spun around and bolted for the exit. "The wedding's off," I yelled over my shoulder. "There's no way I'm marrying her." The ballroom erupted into chaos. The Bridgewater Plaza Hotel was huge, and in my panic, I couldn't immediately find the right way out. Olivia's family and friends were already chasing after me. Her father, Mr. Hayes, looked furious, his brow furrowed in disapproval. "Ethan, the ceremony's starting. Stop this foolishness and get back there and finish what you started." I shook my head, resolute. I couldn't believe I'd actually been reborn and right back at my wedding to Olivia. But if fate had given me a do-over, there was no way I was making the same mistake. I wouldn't marry Olivia Hayes. A relative tried to reason with me, his voice earnest. "Whatever it is, Ethan, can't it wait until after you're married? Olivia's waiting for you." Olivia waiting for me? My peripheral vision caught a flash of white, her gaining on me. It felt like an arrow aimed at my back. No more hesitation. I shoved open a nearby window. I jumped, straight out of the third-floor window. Luckily, an awning below broke my fall, cushioning the impact somewhat. Still, as I scrambled to my feet, a sharp, searing pain shot through me. But this pain was nothing, absolutely nothing, compared to the agony of being deceived by Olivia for over 2 decades in my past life. Clutching my aching back, I limped away, desperate to escape. Hotel staff and guests leaned out of windows, their faces aghast. "Ethan, are you insane? You actually ran from your own wedding." Olivia was among them, her face etched with a mixture of anxiety and disbelief. "Ethan, what are you doing? If you leave, what about our wedding?" The Ethan of my past life would never have been capable of this. But now, "Olivia," I called out, my voice surprisingly steady. "Choosing to marry you was the biggest mistake I ever made. I'm here to correct it." I paused, letting the words sink in. "And just so we're clear, I'm the one leaving you." I didn't wait to see her reaction. I flagged down a cab and made my getaway, trying for a cool exit despite the throbbing in my back. I knew better than anyone that the pristine white wedding dress she wore wasn't for me. I wasn't the man she truly wanted to marry. Memories flooded my mind. I remembered rushing to the police station, an officer asking me, "Are you familiar with a Mr. Lucas Vance, the man who died with your wife, Olivia Hayes?" The utter confusion and helplessness I'd felt then. It took me more than 20 years in my last life to see through that woman. This time, I wouldn't be fooled again. To lay low and nurse my injuries, I checked myself in a Bridgewater General. My phone blew up constantly with calls and texts. Not well-wishers, mostly people ready to chew me out. The messages confirmed it. "Ethan Miller, how dare you do this to Olivia? She cried until she fainted. You get your ass over here and apologize." I scoffed. "Olivia, upset because I ditched the wedding? Please." She was probably thrilled I was gone. This time around, she and her precious Lucas Vance had a real shot at their happily ever after. They should be thanking me. Hell, they should be bowing down in gratitude. Just as I was lost in these satisfying thoughts, my hospital room door opened. My mom and dad stood there, their faces thunderous. Ethan Miller, have you lost your mind? Running out on your wedding? Jumping out a window? Are you trying to humiliate us or yourself? I hadn't expected them to find me so quickly. I instinctively shrank back, wanting to dive under the covers, and quickly mumbled an apology. Don't yell. I'm a patient here. I miserably held up my bandaged arm, hoping to appeal to their parental sympathy. It didn't work. They just snorted. You brought this on yourself. Olivia's in the hospital too. Because of you. You need to take responsibility. Ah, so that's why they were here so fast. Olivia, always the actress, really knew how to commit to a role. This way, no one would suspect she didn't want the marriage either. Then, my parents delivered their verdict. As soon as you're discharged, you're going to reschedule the wedding with Olivia? No way, I said, my voice firm. My decisiveness seemed to stun them for a moment. After all, my marriage to Olivia had been something I'd practically begged for. I transferred to Olivia's high school in senior year, fallen for her at first sight, and nursed a secret crush for 5 long years. It was only when her family's company, Hayes Innovations, ran into financial trouble and the Hayeses approached my parents about a merger through marriage that things changed. I've been ecstatic back then, moving heaven and earth to get my parents to agree. Now, I was a completely different person. They couldn't process it. Why? The question came from a woman's voice. My parents quickly stepped aside, revealing Olivia. She'd changed out of her wedding dress and was now in a hospital gown. She was already slender, but now she looked especially frail, as if a gust of wind could blow her away. For a fleeting second, a pang of something like pity or even sorrow pricked my heart. Her eyes were fixed on me as she asked again, "Why won't you marry me?" I frowned, steeling myself. "Because I don't love you anymore." Hearing this, Olivia seemed to lose all strength. Her body swayed, and she collapsed, fainting right there. My mom and dad shot me a venomous glare before rushing to help the nurses get Olivia back to her room. For a split second, I almost followed them, but I held myself back. I just couldn't understand it. When had Olivia become so fragile? Was this all an act? After that, my parents were furious with me and didn't visit again. My friend, Mark, came by and gave me a thumbs up. "Dude, you're a legend. Pushing Olivia to this point. Weren't you crazy about her? Chased her for ages. You were this close to marrying her. What made you bail?" I waved a dismissive hand. "Too easy. Lost the thrill of the chase." "Well, in that case, how about I chase you now?" I looked up. Olivia, discharged from the hospital, stood at my door, a faint smile on her lips. "I don't want to see you," I said, bluntly trying to get rid of her. She didn't seem offended. She walked in carrying a thermal lunch container and started dishing out soup. "I made you some of my signature chicken and vegetable soup. Have some while it's hot." Mark, sensing the awkwardness, made a hasty retreat, leaving me alone with Olivia. I kept a stony face. Olivia brought the bowl closer, coaxing me like a child. "Just smell it. It's delicious." A familiar aroma wafted into my nostrils. In our past life, Olivia and I were married for over 20 years, the model couple. Even I believed it. She was thoughtful in almost every way, though she often missed holidays and anniversaries due to her demanding career. But she'd always apologize and shower me with gifts, invariably things I loved or had casually mentioned wanting. Olivia, who had supposedly never lifted a finger in her life, even learned to cook. When she was home, she always cooked. She said she worried about my sensitive stomach, so she learned to make all sorts of nourishing soups. This chicken soup was my absolute favorite. I once thought this was proof she had me in her heart. Later, I learned the truth. Thinking of that, the soup suddenly lost its appeal. I turned my head away. "I don't want it, and I don't want to see you. Just leave." Olivia bit her lip, her whole body seeming to tremble. After a long moment, she managed a wan smile. "You don't have an appetite now. I'll leave it here. Drink it when you're hungry." I didn't want to hear her. I pulled the covers over my head. For a long time, Olivia didn't leave. I could hear her moving around quietly. It wasn't until the door finally clicked shut that I peeked out. Olivia had tidied up the room. She'd even placed a bouquet of fresh flowers where I'd see them as soon as I looked up. I scoffed. Such an incredible actress. For the next few days, Olivia showed up like clockwork. Morning, noon, and night, always with meticulously prepared food. I never touched any of it. I ignored her. She'd busy herself tidying the room, making it feel cozy, almost like our old bedroom from our past life. It only made me more uncomfortable. The moment Olivia left one day, I immediately processed my discharge. Time to go home. But my hopes for peace were short-lived. I'd barely walked through my front door when Olivia showed up at my parents' house. She was fawning over them, giving my dad a shoulder rub. "Mr. and Mrs. Miller, if your shoulders are ever bothering you, I'm always happy to come by and give you a massage. My parents saw me coming downstairs and gestured. Ethan's just been discharged. Why don't you give him a massage first? Olivia immediately turned to me, her eyes seemingly full of anticipation. It was obvious. My parents had sold me out. I could understand why they were suddenly so pleased with Olivia. Before I knew her true colors, I too had been fooled by her gentle, considerate act. But what was Olivia after? I smacked my forehead, suddenly remembering. The Hayes family had approached us for the marriage alliance, because Hayes Innovations was having cash flow problems. Olivia was probably afraid my family wouldn't help them now. She was overthinking it. In our past life, after Hayes Innovations weathered the storm, it had indeed become very successful. It was a solid investment, no question. Once I figured this out, my gaze towards Olivia softened considerably, shifting to that of someone evaluating a potential investment. My parents, noticing my slightly thawed demeanor, quickly pushed Olivia towards me. Olivia lost her balance and stumbled, falling towards me like a fragile leaf. I instinctively caught her. I was shocked to find that beneath her clothes, her body was alarmingly thin, light as a feather, as if she were nothing but bones. It felt like the slightest pressure would break her. I frowned. Olivia looked up, her face flushed, eyes shining with joy. I, however, felt intensely irritated and rather brusquely pushed her away. Olivia swayed for a moment before steadying herself, but she still looked incredibly happy to see me. Even my parents gave me a look that suggested my resistance was just me playing hard to get. I couldn't stand being in this house any longer. I have plans. I won't be home tonight. I grabbed my phone and headed out. Olivia, relentless, hurried after me. Everywhere I went, she followed. I was about to get into my car when she reached for the passenger door handle. I snapped, my voice louder than intended. Stop it. Can you just leave me alone? Olivia froze, looking startled, her shoulders trembling involuntarily. Seeing her so frail and vulnerable only fueled my frustration. I know you're after my family's money. Don't worry. Even if we don't get married, I'll make the investment. Are you satisfied now? If you are, then just go. When she didn't respond, I slammed the gas pedal and sped off. In a private room at the Ashton Club, acquaintances, none of them particularly close friends, were all buzzing about my dramatic wedding escape. Ethan, man, you're something else. Chasing down the campus queen, then dumping her at the altar. Ice cold. I told you guys, Ethan's not some lovesick puppy. He was playing her all along, just to reel Olivia in. She must be beyond humiliated. Serve her right, if you ask me. Always acting so high and mighty, looking down on us guys who like to have fun. Now look who got played. Listening to their jeering, I realized my escape from the wedding had made Olivia the laughingstock of our social circle. The former Golden Girls' halo was shattered. Anyone felt they could take a swipe at her now. I didn't want to participate in their conversation, just drank my whiskey in silence. I stumbled home in the early hours of the morning, my steps unsteady. My parents were waiting on the sofa, their faces grim. You're becoming more and more disgraceful, Ethan. Drinking all night. Olivia is such a wonderful girl, and you just threw her away like that. It was you who insisted on marrying her in the first place, my dad added, his voice heavy with disapproval. You owe us an explanation today. Their words sober me up considerably. Yes, I had been the one to insist. It took a lifetime of pain to understand that you can't force happiness. My mind flashed back to the day I heard about Olivia's death. It was our 25th wedding anniversary. The day before, I'd uncharacteristically put my foot down with Olivia. Not for any grand reason, just because I wanted her home to celebrate with me. It was also the 30th anniversary of the day I first fell for her. If you don't come back, let's get a divorce, I'd said. Such a threat must have seemed laughable to her. That night, I waited for her at the restaurant, full of anticipation, only to receive the call informing me of her death. I hung up and ran to the police station like a madman. Are you Olivia Hayes' husband? A police officer asked, confirming my identity. His eyes were full of pity. They told me Olivia had committed suicide, and she'd done it with another man, Lucas Vance. A suspected lover's pact. Do you have any information regarding Mr. Vance? It was the first time I'd ever heard that name. I just shook my head, lost. I only found out who Lucas Vance was at Olivia's funeral. Her best friend, sobbing uncontrollably over Olivia's casket, cried out, "If I'd known how much you loved Lucas, I would have done anything to stop you from marrying Ethan Miller." That's when I learned Lucas Vance was a senior from Olivia's college years. They'd apparently never broken off contact. All those holidays and anniversaries Olivia had missed, she'd spent them with him. At the end of the funeral, I was alone. I stood before Olivia's gravestone and murmured, "Olivia, do you regret marrying me?" The stone wouldn't answer, but I knew the truth. I regret marrying you too. If I had another chance, I would never, ever get involved with you again. Recalling this, my eyes cleared, and I looked at my parents with renewed determination. I just can't go through with this marriage. I can't explain why, but I will help the Hayes family. My mom finally sighed. You'll regret this, Ethan. Fine. We won't interfere anymore. Do whatever you want. I went back to my room and slept like the dead. When I finally felt somewhat human again, I texted Olivia, asking her to meet me in my office. Olivia arrived quickly, and she was dressed to the nines. Her hair was styled in soft waves, and she wore a white sundress, looking like she was on her way to a romantic date. Ethan, it's been so long since you asked me out, she said, a girlish shyness in her voice, her lips pursed slightly. I tossed a contract on the desk between us and said in a strictly business tone, I know Hayes Innovations needs $60 million. Sign this, and the money's yours. But after this, I want you to stay out of my life. Completely. Olivia looked down, not responding. I pressed her. Hurry up. I've given you what you want. Don't get greedy. At my words, Olivia looked up. Her eyes were brimming with tears. She gritted her teeth through the contract back at me, then rushed forward, grabbing my shirt, forcing me to look directly into her eyes. Ethan Miller, I was never after the investment. It's always been you. Haven't I made that obvious enough? Her tears fell in heavy drops as she pounded her small fists against my chest, but it didn't hurt at all. We were married for over 20 years. Now that you've been reborn, you're bullying your wife like this? You weren't like this in our last life. My brow furrowed, even tighter. Olivia was reborn too? No wonder. There had been so many things about her this time around that felt off. Her learning to cook, for instance, that only happened after we were married. If she was also reborn, then we could lay all our cards on the table. My face turned completely cold. Don't talk to me about our past life. You know exactly what you did. Since you're reborn too, let's just go our separate ways. You don't bother me. I won't bother you. I won't stand in the way of you finding your true love, and you can stop harassing me under the guise of needing an investment. It's not like that. That day at the gravestone, her face was deathly pale. She wanted to say more, but the security guards I'd called escorted her out. With everything settled, I boarded a flight overseas the next day. Officially, it was for a business trip to scout new projects. Unofficially, it was to eat, drink, and finally enjoy myself. In my past life, I'd given up too much for Olivia. I knew she was busy, so I always accommodated her schedule. I hardly ever traveled, rarely even hung out with friends. Also, I could be there the moment Olivia had free time to come home. Even on holidays and anniversaries, when she was always too busy to return, I constantly made excuses for her. Precisely because it's a holiday and everyone else is resting. She needs to work even harder. That's how she'll always stay one step ahead. It's all for the company's growth. It's her dream. I lived in that self-deceiving bubble for over 20 years, wrapped in the illusion of Olivia's love. Once that dream shattered, I realized how ridiculous I'd been. Why waste my best years on one woman? And yet, no matter how hard I tried to avoid news about Olivia, some thoughtless idiot would inevitably post something in the group chat, clearly trying to make her a laughingstock. Monday. Olivia Hayes is really putting on a show, sucking up to Ethan's parents every day. Our boy Ethan doesn't want her anymore, even fled the country. And she's still clinging to his parents. How shameless can she be? Tuesday. Olivia actually went with Ethan's parents to some fancy dinner party. She's totally acting like the Miller family's daughter-in-law. Have Mr. and Mrs. Miller been fooled by her? Wednesday. Olivia Hayes was spotted at Vortex, Ethan's usual hangout. Is she trying to find him? Or is she already looking for a new man? Thursday. Olivia's acting like a crazy person, frantically searching for Ethan everywhere, but no one will tell her where he is. Serve her right. The updates stopped for 2 days. Then, the gossip king of the group chat resurfaced with more news. Olivia was hospitalized again, but no one in the chat expressed any sympathy. Here we go again. Olivia Hayes in the hospital, again. Is she faking it? Trying to make our Ethan feel sorry for her and come back? So manipulative. I watched the messages scroll by, quickly buried under new ones, and fell silent. If Olivia was also reborn, why wasn't she rushing to make up for last life's regrets and have a passionate, hard-won romance with Lucas Vance? Why was she still hounding me? The first installment of the $60 million had already been transferred to the Hayes family account. Could it be that Olivia wasn't satisfied with that amount? Did she want more? In our previous life, after we married, the Miller family money was essentially her money. I gave her almost full control. That was a sum far exceeding a mere $60 million. If Olivia was reborn with those memories, her appetite now would only be larger. As for being sick and hospitalized, I knew her constitution better than anyone. Unless she was actively trying to destroy her own health, she could easily live to be 60 or 70. This had to be another act. I spent another month traveling around Europe, my spirit running wild. But then my mom started calling, issuing one demand after another, so I had no choice but to return home, tail between my legs. I never expected that. As soon as I stepped off the plane at Bridgewater International, I'd see the last person I wanted to see. I let out an impatient sigh. Olivia, however, forced a placating smile. Ethan, I'm here to take you home. I turned and strode away, pulling my suitcase, practically flying. In no time, Olivia fell behind and disappeared from sight. I was about to get into a cab by myself, but then I remember my mom had probably sent her. If I went home alone, I'd inevitably get another earful. So, with a grand show of magnanimity, I waited for Olivia by the arrivals curb for a few minutes. Instead, I saw Olivia emerge with another man. And that man was none other than Lucas Vance, Olivia's supposed true love. They were walking together, looking quite familiar, even a bit handsy. Watching them, my expression darkened. I'd never witnessed their interactions firsthand in my past life. This time, I was getting an eyeful. I should have known. How could I be so foolish as to forget the lessons of the past? I let out a cold sneer and got into my own car. Driving back to my neighborhood, I saw my mom from a distance, anxiously waiting by the gate. When she saw only me get out of the car, her face instantly clouded over. Why are you back alone? Where's Olivia? She's a young woman, Ethan. You just abandoned her at the airport and came back by yourself? Her voice rose. How did I raise such an ungentlemanly son? That girl has already bent over backward for you. What unforgivable thing could she possibly have done to make you treat her like this? If my parents knew how Olivia had treated me in our past life, they'd surely regret trying so desperately to push us together now. But the events of the past life were impossible to explain. Thankfully, I now had a legitimate reason. I didn't hold back. Olivia came to pick me up, all right, with her lover in tow. She's in love with her college senior, Lucas Vance. Do you really want your son to keep chasing after someone who clearly doesn't want him? Am I even your real son? My mom was stunned into silence by this news. How is that possible? How could Olivia like someone else? She clearly told me. So that's why you. She muttered to herself for a while, thinking about my recent bizarre behavior. As much as she liked Olivia, she finally believed me. After all, I was her son. She knew my character. I wouldn't bully a girl for no reason unless something was seriously wrong. Once it clicked, my mom forced a sheepish smile. What? Oh, son, I had no idea she was that kind of person. Mom was wrong. Come on, come home with me. You've been abroad for so long. You haven't had a decent home-cooked meal in ages. I'll cook for you tonight. That evening, I finally felt the warmth of a mother's love again, something I hadn't experienced in a long time. Another piece of good news. Once my mom came to her senses, she barred Olivia from our house, not even letting her into the gated community. But Olivia didn't give up. She started staking out the places where my friends and I usually hung out. My buddies were actually impressed by her persistence. Dude, Olivia's here again today. Mark texted me. She looks so frail, but damn, her stamina is incredible. You're gonna lose if you try to outlast her. Just come out and have some fun. Aren't you bored, cooped up at home? Of course I was bored. I felt like I was growing moss, staying home all day. After some thought, I decided to move our gathering to Vortex. Olivia was a bit of, well, let's just say she had high standards for her surroundings. Vortex, with its pulsing music and sweaty bodies, was a place she'd never willingly set foot in. Throbbing beats, gyrating hips, an atmosphere electric with freedom and energy. Then, an out-of-place figure intruded, shattering my mood. Olivia. It was like she was a persistent ghost, a calamity I could never escape. Her slender frame navigated through the writhing crowd, making her way to my side. A small, soft hand grasped mine, trying with all its might to pull me away. But Olivia's strength was negligible. I didn't budge. Finally, she stubbornly lifted her head, her voice laced with desperation. Ethan, please, just give me a chance. Let me explain, okay? Just hear me out. If you still can't accept it after I'm done, I'll disappear from your world forever. Her eyes glistened with unshed tears. Please, just one more chance. I'd never seen her cry in our past life. I thought she was either incredibly resilient or just plain heartless. But now, she genuinely cried in front of me twice. It was as if she was willing to lay all her vulnerabilities bare for me to see. That was something I had craved in our past life. I hadn't wanted her to be so burdened, to carry everything on her own shoulders. She could have leaned on me. I'm your husband. I wanted to scream. The Olivia before me now overlapped with the idealized Olivia from my cherished memories. I stopped resisting, letting her lead me away from the crowd. "This is your last chance, Olivia," I said, my voice low. We found a quiet corner. But for a long time, Olivia just wept, her body trembling so hard she could barely speak, her words coming out in broken gasps. I waited, summoning my last reserves of patience for her to compose herself. After what felt like an eternity, Olivia calmed down a little. She looked at me with sorrowful eyes and finally began. "Ethan, actually, after I died in our last life, my soul stayed with you. I heard what you said at my gravestone. My mind went blank. Rebirth was already unbelievable, but hearing that Olivia's soul had lingered with me after her death was still impossible to process. How could that be? But what Olivia said next shocked me even more. In our past life, my body was occupied by an entity from another dimension. Her mission was to win over Lucas Vance, but her progress was slow, and my own consciousness was too strong, so she never had complete control over my body. Whenever my awareness surfaced, I had only one thought: to go home and see you one more time. I fought her for over 20 years. Just when it looked like her mission was about to fail and I could finally come back to you, she chose to take Lucas down with her in my body. But it was only after my body died that I could finally be with you forever. In ways you couldn't see, I was with you every single day. I saw your pain, Ethan, and my heart ached too. I know Olivia disappointed you, but I swear, the one who hurt you wasn't me. The real Olivia Hayes would only ever love Ethan Miller for her entire life." Olivia's words left me reeling. It was too bizarre. A system? An interdimensional entity. Then, our rebirth. It's because it was the system's compensation for what it did for invading my body. So, my rebirth was a result of a deal Olivia made with this system. I stood there, stunned, my heart pounding in my chest. Emotionally, I wanted to believe her. I did believe her explanation. But logically, I still couldn't separate the Olivia of my past life into two different people. The pain I had suffered was real. Seeing I still wasn't ready to forgive her, Olivia smiled bitterly. It felt like a farewell. "This is the last time we'll see each other. I only have one final wish. That question you asked on my gravestone, I want to answer it now. I have never regretted marrying you, Ethan. Not in this life, not in the last. The only person I ever wanted to marry from beginning to end was you." Her voice was filled with an immeasurable sadness and longing. Olivia's eyes traced my features one last time. Then, like a rusty gear slowly turning, she began to move away. But that gear suddenly seemed to fly off its axis, clattering to the ground with a dull thud. I looked up. Olivia had collapsed, unconscious. I thought I'd completely let go of my feelings for her, but my body reacted instinctively, rushing to her side. When I spoke, my voice was choked with tears. "Olivia, Liv, what's wrong? Don't scare me like this. How can you be sick? In our last life, you were always so healthy." No matter how I called her name, Olivia didn't respond. Her eyes were closed, and she seemed trapped in immense pain, unable to break free. In that moment, I knew, with terrifying certainty, that my heart was in a panic. Trembling, I pick her up. She felt impossibly light, as if I truly were just holding a small, discarded gear. Olivia was even thinner than the last time I'd seen her. Something vital, something precious, felt like it was slipping away. A dull ache started deep inside me. Olivia remained unconscious for a long time after this sudden collapse. We rushed her to Bridgewater General, where they ran a battery of tests. The doctor delivered the news with a heavy heart. Late-stage pancreatic cancer. Hearing the diagnosis, I felt like I'd been plunged into an icy abyss. My hands and feet went numb. I was probably the person, besides the doctors, who understood this disease best. Because in my past life, I was the one who had it. From the day I received my diagnosis, I hadn't lasted 3 months. But how could Olivia have this? She'd always been so healthy. For the next 20-plus years in my memories of our previous life, she rarely even caught a common cold. Yet in this life, she had cancer and didn't have long to live. Was this the price for the system changing our destinies? But then, why was I okay? It was 3 days before Olivia slowly regained consciousness. I've been by her bedside, holding her hand tightly. The moment she stirred, I was instantly awake. "Liv, how are you feeling?" I asked anxiously. Olivia's eyes were misty with tears. "Ethan, so it was all real. You finally forgave me. I thought everything I heard was just a dream." Her face was pale, devoid of color, but her eyes, no longer empty and lifeless, greedily drank in the sight of me. Seeing her like this, so fragile, it felt as if she could leave me at any second. I pulled her into a tight embrace. "I was too stubborn, Liv. That's why I kept pushing you away. This time I won't. Not ever again. I had vented all the hurt and anger from my past life, caused by the false Olivia, onto the real one. What fault was hers? She was a victim too, forced to watch her own body act against her will. I believed her pain was even greater than mine. Olivia leaned against me, seeming to drift off to sleep again. After a long while, she whispered softly in my ear, "Ethan, I want to go home. Take me home." The doctors told me Olivia's condition was deteriorating rapidly. A month was an optimistic estimate. They advised her to stay in the hospital for immediate care. But Olivia didn't want to waste her final moments in a sterile hospital room. I took her back to the house we shared in our previous life. Olivia's spirits seemed to lift. Some color returned to her cheeks. But I knew it was just her putting on a brave face. Late at night, when the house was quiet, Olivia would be racked with pain in bed, her body curling up as she tried to find a position to ease the agony. But I knew, as she did, that the bone-deep pain would never truly leave. She couldn't sleep, tossing and turning for hours. And I would lie beside her, silently crying, my tears soaking the sheets, pretending to be asleep, pretending not to know. How could I not be in torment, watching the woman I loved suffer so? And I, of all people, understood every symptom, every twinge, as if it were my own. But as soon as the sun rose, its light filling every corner of the room, we would act as if nothing had happened. Olivia would smile and head to the kitchen to make me soup. In reality, she would direct, and I would wash and chop the vegetables. After tasting the soup to make sure it was perfect, she'd watch as I drank every last drop. "This is amazing, Liv. Your soup is the best. I want to drink it for the rest of my life." "Then I'll make it for you for the rest of my life," she'd reply. But our rest of our lives seemed so terribly short. We'd missed each other in our past life. In this one, we'd cleared up the misunderstandings, only to face the prospect of being torn apart by death once more. Soon, even during the day, the pain became too much for her to move. I would hold her, and we'd sit together on the porch swing in the garden. She'd close her eyes and rest, and I'd tell her all the foolish things I did after falling for her at first sight in senior year of high school. Olivia would be so amused she'd laugh until she coughed. Then she'd tell me, with a mysterious air, that she had a secret to share. I thought Olivia really did carry so many secrets, so much weight, and yet she'd endured it all. Thankfully, the secret she shared this time was light, yet it felt incredibly profound. "Actually, Ethan," she whispered, "I knew about all those silly things you were secretly doing back then. That's why I fell for you, so completely and irrevocably. No one else had ever been so genuinely, truly kind to me." Listening to her words, tears streamed down my face. Olivia's voice grew weaker as she spoke, until she finally murmured, "Ethan, I'm so tired. I wish I could marry you again. I love you so much." I fought back a sob, struggling to keep my voice clear and steady. "You already are my wife, Liv. You're the only one for me, in this life and any other. I love you." A gentle breeze rustled the leaves on the branches above, carrying away a few that were barely clinging on. They drifted down, slowly, settling on the ground. In my arms, Olivia closed her eyes and breathed her last. For a long time, I just held her. Then, finally, I broke down, wailing like a child. Why? Why couldn't Olivia and I just have a normal, ordinary love story? I cried for what felt like hours, cried until my eyes started playing tricks on me. A strange speck of light seemed to seep out from Olivia's body, floating up towards the sky. I reached out and gently caught it. A strange, mechanical voice echoed in my mind. "Human, release me at once. I'm a noble system." I couldn't believe it. The system had been inside Olivia all this time. Then her death. Could it be? I glared at the speck of light, my voice venomous. "Tell me, did you do this to Olivia? Why did you hurt her? Do you want me to make you disappear?" My grip tightened, and surprisingly, the system shrieked in pain. "It's a misunderstanding. Olivia voluntarily exchanged her health for yours. It's just that her body is different from yours, so the illness manifested much earlier and more aggressively. So, Olivia had done to save me. I couldn't process it. I sat there, numb, until an indescribable pain, originating deep in my heart, spread through my entire body. It was the agony of losing the love of my life. I even found myself wondering if I should just follow her. The system's voice chimed in again. "I'm really done with you too. Each one of you is more stubborn than the last. Fine. Consider this alone. Next lifetime, you both better come work for me, you hear?" "What are you talking about?" I was completely bewildered by its words and tried to ask for more, but my head grew heavy. Sounds and light began to recede. My last thought drifted through the fog. Am I dying again? Good. I can finally go find Olivia. Everything faded to black. Then, in the darkness, I heard a cacophony of voices. My vision gradually filled with light. When I opened my eyes again, I was back in my senior year of high school. The school bell rang, and a teacher led me into a classroom. Class, this is a new transfer student. He'll be studying with you for the rest of the year. New student, why don't you say hello to everyone? Ignoring the teacher, I scanned the classroom, searching for the face that had haunted my dreams and filled my soul. There she was, Olivia Hayes, sitting in the third row, looking just as I remembered her from high school, with that touch of youthful innocence. This was our very first meeting. She looked up, her eyes meeting mine, a bright, welcoming smile on her face, as if in the entire world there were only the two of us. And in my eyes, there was no one else but her. Hello, I said, my voice clear and full of a hope that spanned lifetimes. My name is Ethan Miller. It's a pleasure to meet you. If it's all right with you, I hope we can spend this lifetime and every lifetime together.